Tricky, fricky, Mickey, Ficky. Oh, turn that down. Check. I got a good buddy back in California who I was in the sheriff's department with. His name is Jonathan Higgins. He's a beautiful son of a bitch who looks like Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. He's a very gorgeous man. He has two lovely daughters and a lovely wife, and I miss him very much. And John, I know you're watching, and these nuts are for you, sir. If you ever have a crush on another man, I tell you what, make sure it's a beautiful man. Make sure he looks like a goddamn rock star. Otherwise, you're just plain on gay. I mean, I ain't got no problem being gay, but make sure that son of a bitch is handsome. Good handsome.
Well, shit, welcome back.
Hey, John.
Hey,
Speaking of Johns.
Speaking of Johns, we have an old friend of ours who currently resides in Ohio.
Yeah.
In the Mio Mayo state.
The Mio Mayo state.
Let me get this chat up. Hang on.
Get the chat up. Mr. Higgins, oh no, sir. Oh no, sir. I'll be fucking you in the ass, sir. There's no.
Why are we going gay like that? Like, why do we have to go gay?
There's nothing gay about two grown consensual men having an intelligent sexual conversation.
How come every time you get on the phone with Higgins, it ends up with somebody's phallus in somebody's butt? Now, come on. We got to run a decent...
Just, like I said, it naturally goes that way. I don't make these... Like, when we're playing the game of cards, I don't know the cards I'm being dealt, right? You just play with what you're dealt with, man. I'm just playing my hand.
Okay, that is a weird hand to be playing.
It's not. It's all a matter of perception.
Lamar. It is. And it's extremely gay of you. It's not how we're going to start
Viral
the
B
show.
says it's just boys being boys. Jonathan, I haven't seen you in so long. Goddamn, Jonathan's today. Listen to me. You look like Tom Hanks from Castaway since I last seen you, bud.
Where you been, bud? Did you get lost?
You got hair now. At first,
I'm
oh yeah, you. Look
I'm
crazy.
here. I'm alive.
Yeah, you like a wizard too.
Well,
Holy shit, John!
you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
you're
man.
loud and clear.
And the weather's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, and everyone's thinking you're loud and
Oh,
weird.
it's gorgeous, man.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want to be loud and weird for any other brothers, and especially after that phallic homosexual talk there, because I don't swing that way. But if there was anyone I would swing that way for, it would be you twins right there. So
Oh, you see,
God
John.
damn
I don't know. I don't know.
Don't join in, John. Please,
No,
don't.
John is a man of
Damn it.
wisdom.
Now he's going.
Who-
That's it. It's done.
Who is this going out to? Because no, I don't want to ever censor myself.
Yeah.
I know you guys. We're having fun, and I'm glad to be called in and chat with you guys. I've been having a great day. I got out on the lake on my paddleboard, and I was enjoying that. And then I got a call to talk about Bigfoot. So I was like, "What? Okay, you have me intrigued."
Yeah,
So,
intrigued.
I guess I would say, I'm a humble rock star. I'm capable of anything, but I'm very humble. And I say that because I never considered myself an expert at anything really, but especially Bigfoot. But I heard somebody say that, hey, if you know more than 9 out of 10 people about a certain subject, about anything, you're an expert. So I would say I'm an expert at Bigfoot. I've put in a ton of research over the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
I have a personal experience that I would love to share with all you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, lead me, but
Okay.
I could talk about Bigfoot for days. So let's go.
Before we do, I am going to bring up something here just to kind of give people an idea.
And then while he's doing that, John, introduce yourself as to how we met, and you're a musician as well. Give us some a little bit of pre-birth background. I'm not talking
I love
out
it.
the womb, but give me a little history, John.
Ooh, okay. I love it. So I'm located in Wapakoneta, Ohio. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, but COVID, that was rough for a lot of us. But on top of that, I went through a divorce. So I was in a dark time for a while there. It was, it was interesting. It was, I wouldn't even say it's dark anymore, but it was a change of life. And I run phone doctors out of Wapakoneta. So we fix phones and tablets and things like that. So I met Lamar. I believe I fixed your phone, brother. Right? That was how we met on this,
Correct.
at least on this physical plane of existence.
Correct. Sir.
But we, for some reason, I don't know, maybe you could explain it better, but we shared something where we just kind of knew we were a little bit deeper than most people. And we got to talking, and you told me about your experience with, what's the word? I'm forgetting it now, but
my near-death experience.
The NDA. Yes.
NDE,
So I
yes.
researched NDE.
Yep.
So I researched that. And we went from there, and it was love from there on. And we talked, we connected a lot on the music, right? So the music was something that helped me through that time as well. So I started, I played guitar most of my life since I was a teenager. Like a lot of us, we dabble, we put it down, we pick it back up. But around, even before COVID, I was getting back into it, and I was wanting to play out. Long story there. I could write a book, and maybe I will someday, but I knew that I could never perform publicly with my ex-wife watching. She would be jealous, or, many other things. But I pushed myself to start playing. I eventually started writing songs, and I've played, maybe 150 shows. I really got connected with the open mics in this area. I started a band called Peace, Love, and Music. We performed several shows. And I still love doing it. So, whether it's free, or paid. Like I played at my girlfriend's nursing home last week,
Right.
and that was a beautiful time, man. It to touch those people and to make anybody smile, to make one person smile with your music, I could die happy. It's so good, and that is uplifting to the soul. And I guess I've always been interested in the paranormal, right? UFOs, Bigfoot, the questions of our lives. Why are we here? I've always been a seeker of knowledge. So yeah, take the mic for a moment. Again, guide me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we got you covered.
So before John tells his story, let me fill people in some of the holes here in case you guys don't go down the rabbit hole we go down. But let me address some people in the comments here. Diablo said, this stream took a weird turn today. Well, those in chat will tell you, Diablo, because you're the new guy here, or woman. We don't know what your gender is. This stream is a normal stream. Today is a normal day. We do this shit every day. You never know which way the table will turn.
You never know.
We don't come in with the script. We don't know how the day is going to go. Sometimes we just write jams on the fly.
Sometimes we just fly.
Sometimes we just fly and just sit here looking foolish, and it works for some strange reason. But before John tells his story, there's a thing out there I don't know if you people know about, and it's called Missing 411. Missing 411 was dubbed this after a detective in California near San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
His name is David Paulides. David Paulides used to be a detective
For San Francisco.
and he would go on very interesting homicide cases. He would end his career with, and I'm just paraphrasing here, with a few strange cases that would basically go unsolved for no rhyme or reason. And I think he wanted to pursue these crimes later in his life after his retirement. He has a YouTube channel. It's called, what is it called?
Missing 411 Files.
No, it's called, let me not butcher it.
Is it
I
David Paulides 411 Files?
really want people to, I could tell you right now, hang on. It's called K&M Missing Project. That's CANAM Missing Project. If we have a Chrome, could you put that up for me, please? The spelling is capital CANAM Missing Project. And what's funny about this is I'm going to read a statistic here. Let's see if I can't pull this up. Okay, people are going missing in the national parks in North America wilderness. Since 2019 documentary came out, Missing 411, The Hunted, reports as many as 1,200 individuals have disappeared, but almost admits that this number is underreported. Dave Paulides, a former police detective turned private investigator, is the author of popular Missing 411 series documentary books. We don't know how many people go missing from these locations because the U.S. National Forest Service will always tell him lies. Once again, I'm paraphrasing. I'll link this this article in Discord. Paulides is dedicated to investigating missing persons in national parks and forests. When he asked how many cases he typically researches in a year, he responded, "We probably research several hundred people a year." Now, that's just several hundred fucking people a year. Here's another thing. For the longest time, up until 2 years ago, you were never able to take pictures or videos while in the national parks.
Mhm.
David Paulides went to the Supreme Court to fight for our rights, and now they have reversed that rule, and now you're able to take video and pictures in national state parks, which is completely
It's
wild.
mind-boggling.
And so this man has come across many cases, many reports that have been vetted, verified, and people still turn their back towards the evidence. They don't want to see it. They don't want to view it. Let me give you a quick story. I believe it was a 3 or 4-year-old boy went missing from his farm in California. He had no shoes. He had no pants. He had a diaper on with no shirt. Now, this boy went wandering off. They found him 7 miles away from where he was in the most rugged, extreme terrain anyone can walk.
I like traverse. Let's use traverse, that anyone can
traverse. Okay.
That sounds beautiful.
Now, this boy went missing at night. At night. I want you guys to think about what I just said. No shoes, no pants, no shirt, just a diaper. At night, cold. He walks nonstop 7 miles and rests against a tree on the ridge 7 miles away. When they found this boy, they did find him, and it's rare that they find these missing cases. He has 0 bruises on his feet, 0 bruises on his body. Wasn't even cold. They asked the boy if he remembered anything, and he said, well, I remember these tall things, people. He really didn't have a name for it. And they comforted him until someone found him. A year later, a survival expert, his name is Les Stroud, heard about the story. He lives in Canada. He said, and this is on one of the Missing 411 documentaries, I'm going to do exactly what that kid did. I'm going to traipse 7 miles at night through this rugged terrain and see if I can't get to where that kid was within, I believe it was like 8 hours. Or he could not do it for the life of him, and this man is experienced.
Right. He ran the hit show Survivor Man. Some of you would probably know with that program.
Mm-hmm.
And these accounts for missing people get weirder and weirder. And David Paulides has dedicated his life to try and bring these missing cases to light. Many people say they've seen something tall and hairy that just come out of a portal. There's missing cases where there's 2 hikers in Washington State near Mount Adams, 2 Asian males hiking up a trail. The person that is no more than 5 feet ahead of his partner heard a loud contraption, a loud metal-like contraption noise, turned behind him, and his partner was gone. He was only 5 feet behind him. They haven't found him since. It's accounts like this that just makes my mind want to go down these rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we have John, who has had an experience, I'm assuming, because I haven't heard the story yet.
I have.
And he could have just
That's
been,
a good jumping off point.
He could have been a missing 411 case.
Yeah, easily. I think we all could have been in the situation because we all go out to the outdoors.
Take it away, John. Tell us the story. What happened to you? What'd you see?
All right. So I love all this, and like any good, I'm learning storytelling, right? We want to set this up. And what you're saying is very, very interesting, right? There's all these reports. If you dig into it, there's podcasts out the yin yang of people telling their stories. There's the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Conference. There's a new one up near me in Ada, Ohio, the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree, and it brings speakers in from across the country, I think from around the world.
Really?
People telling their stories of these events, right? And people tell these stories, and skeptics, I'm a skeptic, right? You guys are skeptics. I think most of us are skeptics. Like, I don't want to just buy anything hook, line, and sinker. I question every fucking thing. Can I cuss
Right.
on this?
Yes,
you
can.
fucking
I assume
can,
we're
sir.
talking. Okay. Well, fucking A. I question everything. I don't just buy it, right? Like, I know when I'm being advertised or marketed to. I don't buy bullshit. And I think most of these people that have these reports, like they're mocked, they're derided. Like, oh, you saw this in the woods, yeah, whatever, dude. Like they don't want to come out. They don't have any reason to tell these stories and to make something up. Maybe some people do. Maybe some things are made up. But if you look at the broad spectrum, the swath, the amount of reports of a huge creature, a hulking, 7, 8, 9 foot hairy creature, there's something to it, I think. And I'm going to get to my story, but I'm just giving you a little bit more.
Yeah, set it up. Set it up. Take your time.
So, as a youth, I think I was always kind of interested in Bigfoot, right? Like I remember having these big snowshoes and trying to fake people out by putting, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, where there's lots of snow. So, these big plastic snowshoes, and I went through the woods trying to make people think there was something out there. And I'm sure a lot of people do that, right? Like, but there's a big difference between that and seeing an imprint in the dirt. And a lot of people, you see plaster casts of footprints too. Like that's a whole thing. But let me pull back. I'll start my story of where I really got into this, that something jogged me to the core to be like, is there something to this? This was about, I want to say 2005, 2006. I lived out in the country here. There's a small town called Mendon, Ohio. If anyone knows where that is, about 300 people, but we didn't even live in town. We lived about 5 miles out of town. We had a couple neighbors, but for the most part, there's no stores within 15 miles, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And for me being from Western New York, Buffalo, New York, that was a big culture shift to have to drive to the store. But, so I lived out there with my fiance and 2 dogs. And so it was the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep, and I was kind of thinking about my brother Bob. There was a lot of shit that went on when my dad was dying, and my brother Bob was always kind of an asshole in a lot of ways. He was kind of a black sheep. He could be good, he could be a dick, like like a lot of family members. But I was just kind of dwelling on some of the things he did, and I was thinking very negatively, and I just couldn't get around it. And it was like maybe midnight, and my brain was just kind of cycling back through that, like, fuck him, he did this, he did that. I don't normally think like that. I don't want to waste my time with negativity, but here I was in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. So cut to, all of a sudden, I heard on the roof, bang, 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 4 loud sounds that went across my roof. Now, this is a manufactured home. It's probably, I don't know, maybe about 60 feet long, 25 feet wide. I don't know. I'm not good with dimensions. But anyway, whatever that sound was, went across the roof. 4 loud thumps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, immediately my mental Rolodex went through, like, what could this be? Like within a second, I'm like, could it be a goose? Could it be a large bird? Could it be a man running across the roof? Like, I quickly ruled these things out because if it was a bird, it had to be a really fucking big bird, like literally Big Bird from Sesame Street, like pow, 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 pow.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so was it a man? Only a man that could take like, you know, about 12 feet steps. So it was like, yeah, you know, very, very long strides it would have to be. So I was like, it can't be a person. What, you know, what the fuck was this? Was it like, I don't know. I had different story, but I believe I saw a ghost once. Could it be like a ghost making a sound or something? Like, could an entity make a sound that loud? Like, I don't know. It would take, you know, I don't know what it was. And my partner, Lynn, was sleeping next to me. I didn't want to wake her up, but I was scared shitless. I tell you, like, I didn't know what the fuck it was. But this all happened in the span of like a second, right? Like I hear the sound, bam, 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 bam. And then I go through all these things of what it could be, what it isn't. And something in my mind told me, quit thinking about your brother. That is negativity you're putting out into the world. Let it go. Now, I don't know what or who that was, but it seemed like it was an entity, like something outside of myself telling me this. I can't really explain it. But this might come into the conversation later on. Something was put in my head that I was like, well, maybe it was a Bigfoot, like something that big could have done that. Right. And I almost imagined it, you know, maybe that's what it was. It took 4 big steps and jumped off and ran away, and put that in my head. Like, quit thinking about that. And I'm like, but am I fucking crazy? Because why would I be thinking that? Like, mind speak isn't real. Telepathy isn't real. But then again, what was it? You know, I tried to rule it out, and I'm not even sure I told my partner. I don't think I told anybody. I was like, this is too fucking weird, dude. Like, so what I did was, over the course of the next week, I started researching Bigfoot sightings in my area. So, and to my surprise, about 2 or 3 miles down the road, there was a report in the late 1970s, I want to say. I don't remember. It might have been 1978. And it was a farmer who saw something pick up a calf and run with it over a fence, like jump over a fence with the calf. Like, what kind of report, like, who could do that? There's no human that could pick up a calf and do that. And so I was like, well, that's interesting, you know. And then, you know, that quote, that's interesting, that keeps you going. It's like, okay, there might be something here. So I was interested, and I kept researching, and I kept trying to learn more. And, you know, I didn't have the answers to the questions, so I kept digging. I found podcasts eventually. You know, this was a time when podcasts were becoming more and more and more. So I learned about, what was it? There was a TV show with Cliff Barackman. You guys might know that, but they have a podcast as well. So one thing led to another, to me researching this and going down these roads and getting on the BRFRO website and trying to connect these dots, because I was like, what the fuck is that? I want to find out, you know? So there we are. Yeah.
So what made you think was it like telepathy to you, or something you think popped into your head? This is Bigfoot. Like, why wouldn't it have been something else?
Well, from what I understand, what I've learned in other areas, if telepathy is real, that it would use symbols, not necessarily words, but symbols or a picture, right? And I believe, for whatever reason, I thought that was in my head, a picture of Bigfoot, a Sasquatch.
And you weren't into Bigfoot at the time, I take it.
No,
Right.
Not really. There was no reason I wasn't researching it. I wasn't, I wasn't going down those roads. I wasn't thinking about Bigfoot, nothing.
And did you hear any like vocalizations or anything that followed through with it?
I think it was the thing before that said something to the effect of, quit dwelling on the negative about your brother, let it go. It was almost like I felt like whatever this thing was, my negativity was infecting its domain. Like, I was just putting it out there into the world, and it was like, hey, I'm trying to sleep here. I'm trying to be, and you're fucking with me, you know?
Right.
I don't know if that's the case. That was a feeling, right? This is all feelings, but that was the feeling I had. Like, hey, quit fucking around with that. Just be cool and chill, because this is not helping anything. So whatever the case was, whether, you know, whatever that was, whether that was in my mind or external, it doesn't matter, because it got me beyond that, and it made me chill and just be like, okay, you're right. That doesn't matter. Let it go. Love everybody, you know?
Yeah. How far from civilization were you?
Civilization. The small town of Mendon is about 5 miles from there.
Okay.
So that's about a town of about 200 or 300 people.
Oh,
no
wow.
gas
So-
station,
Oh,
no
wow.
light, you know, no stoplights or anything. So maybe 15 minutes from St. Mary's, which is a town of about 8,000.
Okay, so you were in an area where there's not going to be a whole lot of witnesses. Did you want to run outside to see exactly what that was, or what direction it traveled?
Not gonna lie, I was scared shitless. I did not want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
But after about 5 minutes passed, I mustered up the gumption to go outside and look, because I wanted to look for footprints. I wanted to look on the roof and see, you know, what I didn't want to climb out on the roof in the middle of the night, but I wanted to just look around and see. So after a while, like, my heart was beating after this. Like, I was just like, what the fuck is that? And so anyway, 5 minutes go by. I go outside. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, there was nothing there. But now this location is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from a river, which might play into things later on, or at least from my research. People say, go ahead.
It's funny because David Paulides, on his research, a lot of these things happen by bodies of water, whether it's a running river, a lake, a huge pond near the ocean. And no matter what, 9 times out of 10, the people that were missing, that were ever found, were face down in the water.
Now, wait, you said you looked back into the area for any other, like, telltale signs or any other events that may have occurred. How many total events have you found that occurred in that same region?
There was only 2 right by me. Yeah.
But that's
and
good
they were,
enough.
like I said, the 70s. Yeah, that was good enough of a hit for me to keep digging. So dig I did. And I don't know if you want me to go further with some of these connections or where we want to go from here. But
but it's
okay.
funny. This is what it takes for people to go into the rabbit hole. People experience something they can't explain.
It shatters their paradigm.
The next thing they do is they go on any form of social media and try to find
exactly what
you're trying to look for, because it happened to you. And this is the exact thing that get people looking.
Have you been back to that area since? I'm curious.
And then we find no, not really. No.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, like I said, the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree. There is a local podcast out of Ada called Cryptids of the Corn, which might interest you guys and your audience. They talk a lot about all the various cryptids. And the one guy is actually very well versed in animal shit. How do I say? Like, I think he worked like for the ODNR. He's just like, he comes at it from a scientific angle and talks about animals that might be very, very low population but still exist, like black panthers in Ohio, which there are reports of.
Right.
You know, there's all kinds of stuff that there might be a very low level of, like, you know, giant eagles. I don't know. But anyway, Cryptids of the Corn, you know, there's all these different podcasts out there. But one of which, Into the Fray is the name of the podcast. But there's a man in Dayton, Ohio, actually Huber Heights, and he witnessed something that was like a mini Bigfoot, like 3 or 4 foot tall, little hairy dude. He and his wife both saw it. Look up the little Bigfoot of Huber Heights, Ohio. And, I met him at the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree last summer, and, he's a legit dude like you guys, like me. Like, I don't want to come off as crazy. I don't want to have people saying, oh, he's cracked, but like when I see not only him, but 20, 30, 50 other people saying like, yeah, I saw this. Like, okay, well, let's keep going. Let's learn what this is. And in fact, like, you keep going down. If you go back into papers from the 1800s, there are reports. Even our own Teddy Roosevelt saw something that could be defined as a Sasquatch. It just keeps going and going. Yeah, the rabbit hole gets deeper, and you wonder about these David Paulides, all these missing persons, right? And the national parks, a huge area. If I'm just saying, if there was, we've talked about the missing link, right? If there was something between human and ape, if it existed, where would it be? Where would it hang out? Probably in the national parks. So
why do you think, let me ask you this. Why do you think people are so apprehensive of letting their guard down to believe in something like this?
That's everything, isn't it? That's like, UFOs, paranormal, astral projection, telepathy. If it's outside of the norm, they're like, come on, I don't like it. We are creatures of habit. Maybe it's scary at first, or I don't know. It's social conditioning. It's everything, right? It's everything we went through, like in schools and churches. Like, this is our reality, right? And if you challenge that, it's like, whoa, I don't know. But if the news doesn't say it's true, then it's not.
Right. But I could also tell you, like, a lot of people believe in the Bible, yet they weren't around back then, but they have this great faith that a man could walk on water, turn water into wine, part the Red Seas, build a goddamn boat that can house the world's animals. All these little fictitious stories, I believe, and we're so gullible to eat that up without the facts. Like, we weren't there. We don't have the facts. But at what point do we start believing each other? Which is, I think that's what people do with religion. They believe this book. They believe each other, the people that wrote it. But when it comes to something, like you said, that's so taboo like this, why do people shy away from it when they have other beliefs?
That's a good question. I don't know if I can answer that, because I've always been a seeker. Like, I go that way. If I hear something like that, cool, I want to learn. I've wanted to see a UFO. I saw something that could be considered a UFO as a child. I had another, if you want a couple of paranormal things, I could tell you. I saw something that could be defined as a UFO a year and a half ago.
And these are things that are, so these things you have seen in the past, did they really stop you and challenge your idea of what our reality is?
Yeah, I believe they did. Yeah. What's possible, the afterlife, right? My mother passed away 2 years ago, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that she's there. She exists. She has been helping me. She'll talk to me. Like, I know it may sound crazy to some, but I believe that our loved ones are there. Yeah, I found a poem after she died. After she passed, after she party hopped. I like to say party hopped rather than died, because I don't think we ever die. I think we just go on to the next thing. But I found a poem, and I sat down with my guitar to write music to it, and it just came to me, man. Like, I'm not that smart, you guys. I don't think I'm that smart. And it just came out, like a melody came out. I don't write fucking melodies. I write basic cowboy chord songs. And the whole melody came out, and like, all right, thanks, Mom. Like, it was her
like
song,
So a download from source or something.
Yeah, a download from source, or if we are an energy, these bodies, it's just part of us. some people are atheistic and they don't believe in the soul. Like, I guess I always believed in a soul and that we go on, right?
Right.
I was raised Roman Catholic, and that's part of that. But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I was going to go 5 different places, so we can go wherever. But
no, you just
yeah.
bring it back in.
I want to hear about some other things that have challenged your thought process on reality. But before I do, we have a viewer. His name is Viral Beats, and he says, "There is no norm, only the absence of." I like that because it's so true, right? And then if you can, the only people who think they're normal are the people who believe 100% of everything they've been taught by our education system.
and they're classifying that box that they stay in as normal.
That's facts. The moment they come outside, the box, everything is false. And it's like they put all this time and effort to hold on to the things that they've been force fed. You know, they just laugh at things that you're having a hard time trying to understand. And the synchronicity in that is earlier today, Synth Summarize sent my brother and I interesting. I mean, what would you call it? I don't even know what to call it, but it's like a letter written to man, essentially. And it just went on about we're not who we are supposed to be in this life. And we only believe in things we're told to believe. And we get all of our information downloaded from our parents who got their information downloaded from their parents and so on.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's a sickness. It's a sickness to where now we can't even believe our own eyes and what we're seeing and discovering. And they laugh at you when you speak of frequencies and residencies, and they laugh at you when you speak of like love and, you know, esoteric lifestyle. And it's just funny because these are things I believe a lot of us are discovering, but don't want to tell people because they're afraid of how they're going to look and how they're going to be perceived.
Right. Yeah. And I watch what I say, or, you know, that I'm a businessman here in Wapakoneta, right? So I firmly believe everything you said, man. Like, but there's still a hesitancy with me to fully speak my mind on these topics. But I believe it's part of our journeys. It's part of what you guys are doing. It's part of what I'm doing. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I was hearing something else. Maybe it's the Men in Black.
Maybe.
It's possible with you. Shit, you're hearing all kind of stuff.
Right. But yeah, I believe in those downloads. Like I don't know. I've had a lot of experiences that, you know, we could talk on other shows or down the road or whatnot. But we all are going to have these experiences that happen to us, right? I believe that we're all challenged and tested, and we can't just sit back in our shells and go with the flow of what everyone else is doing with, like you're saying, like the 9-to-5 jobs and what school says and what the man says. Like, there's love everywhere. There's light everywhere. And I believe that we are advancing as our consciousness. The whole 2012 thing, like, maybe it didn't happen right at 2012, the whole Mayan calendar ending. You guys remember that, right? It was like going to be the end of the world.
Right.
And nothing happened. It seemed like nothing happened, but I think it did. It just, maybe we didn't feel it right away, or just, it's kind of taking its time. The universe has its course, man. It's not just going to say, bam, hey, you're in a different fucking environment now, like, it's going to slowly get there. And we are, man. But
yeah, we have another,
but yeah,
we have another commenter. It says, you can't tell people, just be you, be an example. let them laugh. In many ways, he's right. But
That's good. That's good, dude.
I think for mental health issues, you want to talk to somebody.
Right.
If you seen something profound,
the first thing you want to do is tell somebody.
That's the natural response,
It is.
right?
It
like
is.
you just want to tell somebody. If you lock it
And
up,
unfortunately, they're gonna want to give you drugs and put you in a padded room or something. But you tell so many of us. There's so many of us though. People like you and me and a lot of the people listening. Right here in Wapak, there's so many, dope souls. I call them dope souls. I have a song, Dope Soul Incorporated. Like we're coming online, we're shining, we're opening up to these things, and you can't fake us out anymore. You can't lie to us anymore. It's like the truth will out, that the light is coming more and more and more. And as I say that, I feel great, like, I don't know. I like that commenter is like, we've got to show that every day. And I do that. You guys do that. That's what this whole show is about. So I play music. I ride a one wheel and I play guitar while I ride. So I don't know. It's kind of a unique thing. I don't know anybody else that does it. It just kind of came, and it's a magical thing that I can kind of shake people out of their normal day-to-day stuff. I just go down the street downtown Wapak, and people see a guy riding a one wheel playing guitar, shredding, and they're like, what the hell is that? And dig this. I actually did it I'm going to do it at the Bigfoot Jamboree here in October. So you guys, please come to Ada, Ohio, because there's a lot of great speakers, and, we're going to talk about all this kind of stuff. Like, it's our people. But your boy is going to don a Bigfoot costume and ride a one wheel and play guitar. I become Rock Squatch.
Rock Squatch. I like it. Now I got to get there and bring the cameras.
Yeah, we'll come out there and we'll film and we'll get some footage and
that'd be a great time
interview
to
some
film.
people. That'd be dope.
Okay. Tell us another one of your experiences that challenged your reality.
All right, I'm gonna go to again. I said my mom passed away a couple years ago. She was an amazing soul. She was beautiful, talented. Unfortunately, things happened where her brain was never what it was when she was a youth. But she was the class valedictorian. She was a beautiful piano player. And I only say that to fast forward to her celebration of life, right? So we celebrated her, but the same weekend that we're celebrating my mom, my cousin Denny is literally on his deathbed, and he was 57 years old, and cancer got him early. And so I go to my mom's, the church service, and then we have time in between that and the celebration later, and I go to see Denny. And it's Denny and my mom were kind of similar souls, where my spirituality kind of comes from them a little bit. They saw the world differently, they asked questions, they poked the box. And I'm so glad that I had them in my life, because they made me see the world differently. And now that they've party hopped, I get to be that torchbearer. I get to be that person saying, hey, no, let's look at things differently. Like, don't be afraid to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to rock out. Don't be afraid to let that light shine, because every single one of you motherfuckers has got something different that nobody else has got. You got something special.
Right.
So, this was kind of still early in my journey of music, and I had written some songs, and I got to play him for Denny. He's literally dying, and I played him my songs. I read him my mom's eulogy, which was very fucking awesome and funny. If I don't, if I prop myself, I'm so humble, but it was the best fucking speech anyone's ever written.
Right.
But so it was the very next day, Denny party hopped, and now get this, Denny was the biggest fucking deadhead I ever knew. And he spelled his name D-E-N-Y, not D-E-N-N-Y, but D-E-N-Y, as if to deny the status quo. He wanted to deny every fucking thing and call people out. And he, like I said, loved the Grateful Dead, big hippie, smoked pot all the time. He grew his own strains of weed, right? Because he liked a certain kind that got you. So I never liked the Grateful Dead, like, Truckin', or there's a few songs here and there, Sugar Magnolia, but I never really got into the Dead. I'm a rock and roll guy.
Right.
And I'm like, I tried to listen to the Dead. I would try and try and try over the decades. And I loved the spirit. I loved the people. I loved the jam, and I loved the show, the partying. But the music, I was like, it's kind of too folky and blah, all over the place for me. I like a
Right.
good fucking rock song. Jerry
Right.
Garcia, I get it. He's awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yep.
so fast forward to the night after Denny died. It was a Sunday, and your foolish boy here, I decided to take a big old gummy, and I'm a lightweight, but I took a 10 milligram gummy,
Here we
THC,
go.
of course. And I was determined to listen to the Grateful Dead and figure it out. Like, what is it about the Dead? I'm going to love the Dead here. Let's see what I can do. So I'm laying in bed and I'm listening to the Dead. Laying in bed, listening to the Dead. There's a song right there, my friends. But I started getting this warm feeling, and it was like up my spine. And then I remembered like this feeling, or what is it? Something about the chakras, or there's a word for it, and I can't think of it because it never happened to me, but there was a tingling that went up my spine, and it was warm, and it was a little bit scary and weird, but something told me, just go with it. It's fine. Relax, enjoy the music. And I was so enjoying the Dead. I got it. It was like I was there, you guys. Like, it wasn't about Jerry's playing. It wasn't about Bob Weir. It wasn't about the drummer. It was all of them together at once, combining to just make joy. It was joy. I was feeling the joy of the Grateful Dead. I was like, Denny, I get it. I fucking get the Dead. Yes.
Yeah.
I was so happy. Now, dig this. Dig. Jimi Hendrix used to say that. Dig. At that moment, I looked out my window. Something drew my attention out the window, and it was dark. And I saw a pinprick of light. And that light went up and down and then shot off like super quickly. And I'm like looked like a UFO. Like, wing. There was nothing else doing that. There was only that one dot of light. And okay, my skeptical self, I get up out of bed. I was like, I moved the lamps around. Like, I'm looking at the lights. I'm like thinking, was it a glare? Was it this? Was it that? Like, but deep down, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that was Denny telling me something, telling me, hey, I'm still alive. Yeah, you're right. This is good. I can't explain anything more than that, but that was the feeling I had, Denny telling me.
Yeah, sometimes when you know something that's tailored and designed for you, sometimes it's best not to even try to explain further because no one's ever going to get it. Right. You don't have the vernacular or choice of words to express it to people because they're not going to get it. Because it wasn't tailored
if you know,
them.
You know.
Yeah, right. If you know, you know.
Trust your gut, trust your intuition. Right. Trust, believe, and trust. And I know that was Denny telling me, and I know, I got, like I said, we're the torchbearers then, like we get to tell people this, like, and every time when I play music, I put the photos of those friends and family members that have party hopped. I put them at my feet. And if I ever get tired, I play for 3 hours typically. So 2 hours in, sometimes it gets a little tiring. I look down at those people. I'm like, I'm doing it for them and for Denny and for my mom. And, so, and now I love, let me kind of jump forward a bit because at Denny's celebration of life, me and my other cousin, Pat, we played a song called Ripple. And I didn't know that song, Ripple. Anybody familiar with it, you guys know that is a beautiful song about life and the afterlife and the paths that we take. And, man, it has such heart. And I play it about every show. And I tell a little story about Denny. I don't go into the full UFO thing, but maybe I should. I don't know. Depends on the show, on the audience. But
just like half God, half beast says, find your tribe and tell the right people. Like some of that information is not for everybody. That's why we don't go around telling people, hey, this is what we saw last night or 10 years ago, or hey, have you ever, because it just makes you look foolish. And
right.
The only time to talk about it is, well, one, when you're on this podcast right now, and two, when you're around like-minded individuals who are actually going to give you the time of day to listen
Well,
to
it's a
this.
time and energy thing, right? Like you could yell at a brick wall, but if someone's not open to it, then what are you doing? You know,
Right.
like we
Right.
only have so much time and energy in the day. So, you know, you parcel it out. You give them a little bit and you see if they want to buy into it. And if not, I ain't got time for that, you know,
Right.
because I know. And, you know, I wrote down some notes. Like I'm so thankful that I got to hop on and chat with you guys here. You know, this wasn't planned or anything. You got me at a great time.
Mhm.
And, you know, I didn't have an outline or notes. I didn't think about this much, but as you guys were talking about other stuff, I did jot down some notes of things I wanted to touch on. And one of them was like I'm sure all of you that, you know, you're driving around, you see Bigfoot stickers on cars, you see cardboard or plywood cutouts on buildings, you see the image of Bigfoot like everywhere these days. Like,
Mhm.
why is that? Are we
Mhm.
all coming to this consciousness thing? Are we all seeing it? Like, if you drive down to Hocking Hills, you know about Bigfoot. If you go up to the UP, there's a town, you know, it's all about Bigfoot. There's stories in so many places, and there's stories of them even in urban settings, you know, like in the Dayton area. Like, just get on the BFRO and you see these reports literally everywhere.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
You remember back in the day when we were kids and we were watching is it the Patterson Gimlin video? Oh God, it's the original Patterson video when they're out in the woods and they show him walking across, going across logs, and they try their best
To debunk
to
that.
debunk that.
And they still
But
Right.
that was original film, right? I think it was 8 millimeter, correct? And there was no
Mhm.
way to put in, you know, CGI back then. And they even did the analysis of where the elbow bent, where the knee bent,
It looks
where the
good.
it's an actual creature. They even said it's an actual creature. Okay, so if we have it on video, I don't think we've had video that good since. Do you know of any video that we could probably look at that would have something that is just as credible as the Patterson video?
No. And I've heard stories of people that have photos and videos and they disappear, interestingly.
Mm. But that's the thing, though. I think it's starting to be like you said. You can see the stickers on back of cars. It's starting to be. Yeah, some may just see it as a cool thing. The Sasquatch. You know, you got like your Slim Jim commercials and Sasquatch.
Yeah.
But for those who have actually seen something, who's actually been out in the woods and actually saw something, you have to like listen to their story. And you just have to be like I always say, I'm always half in and half out because a part of me is like, yeah, they could be lying, but the other part is they could be
What if they're
telling the
telling the
truth.
truth?
And if they're telling the truth,
Yeah.
jeez, Pete's,
Yeah.
what a hell of a story, and what a hell of a notion that
Amen.
there's some 8 foot tall ape traipsing in the woods.
Right. Yeah.
And the stories, if you look at all these different accounts, the similarities are astounding, right? Even as a skeptic, you know, I'm talking the way I talk. It's, you know, I always preface it with, I'm talking to skeptics, right? And I'm talking to a lot of believers, but in any case, it doesn't really matter. But the similarities, like the stone throwing, you hear about wood knocks.
Right.
You hear about like huge fucking stones. Like
Mhm.
a man can't throw these stones, and they throw them, you know, 50 feet or whatever. You know, people are scared. They're literally scared to go into the woods because they're chased out by these creatures,
Not a lot of
where they don't
people.
want to go into the woods anymore.
Right.
And you know, just to correct you a little bit, not everyone in our chat believes in this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's some
Okay.
people. There's some people in our community who don't believe anything until they see it with their own eyes, and respectfully so. I'm the same way, even though I've seen something with my own eyes. You know, you still.
That's fair.
It's amazing to me how you can still be standoffish even though you've witnessed something yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
there's still that
think that-
skeptic in
I
people.
think
Like
that falls back to what John was saying earlier. That's that conditioning. Like it's so hard to break the condition that you were like. So imagine this: we're on an island, separate from the world, but in our island, the parents and the elders taught you about the sky gods that came down in metallic ships, and that there's other ape-like beasts that traipse the woods. If you just mind your P's and Q's, they don't mess with you, and that the body is just a shell, and we go on to live for eternity in some glorious afterlife, or that we can use our minds to speak instead of our voices. And that's what you're getting fed, right? That's what this particular island believes in. Now, what does that say for you as far as surprises? If someone says, oh, telepathy is real, well, you're already conditioned, right? Yeah, no brainer. That's what I was taught when I was a kid. You take any one of these people from that island and you put them in the modern world, they're going to be so goddamn out of place. And they're going to look at people and go, why are you so narrow thinking? Like, why is your mind in a box?
Right. What was stolen from you?
Yeah, what was taken from you?
Yeah. And ultimately, that's what it is that something was taken from us as children. And I'm going to read you something Synth Samurai sent me. You don't know this guy, but he has his own community of renegades, and he doesn't go over this much on his channel. He does something a little bit different, but he always seems to send us the topics of the day sometimes. So it goes, let me tell you something your ego won't survive. You weren't born free. You were installed. Your name? Assigned. Your birthday? Timed. Your language? Downloaded. Your beliefs? Programmed. You didn't grow up. You booted up. Your education wasn't to empower you. It was to teach you how to obey a world that doesn't exist. A fake-ass layer cake made of screens, trauma loops, and chemical compliance. You weren't raised by a family. You were raised by a system that hijacked them first. Your heroes? Chosen for you. Your dreams? Preloaded. Even your fears weren't yours. They made you laugh at words like frequency, soul, simulation. Because they know if you remember what you are, you burn this fucking code base down in a blink. You're not awakening.
Fucking A.
You're glitching. And it terrifies them. Because when your frequency grows, because when your frequency outgrows the farm, you don't just become free, you become dangerous. You stop being livestock. You become lightning. You become the virus the system can't patch. So yeah, laugh now. Mock this like they taught you. But remember, once your soul sees through the lie, there's no going back. Now that shit hit me in a whole lot of places when I read that shit.
That's the deepness right there, my friends.
And it's valid for so many portions of anyone's life. It's timeless. It's absolute timeless. It's some cold shit. That's why I often ask people on podcasts like this or interviews, who are you? And everyone's fucking ego. There's only been a slight few, but majority of the people who answer this, ego hurries from the back of the line to the front and has to answer the question immediately. And my brother always says, there's no fictitious person with a gun at your head saying, answer this right now. The question still is there for you to answer. Who are you?
Outside of your name, outside of the name you're given, who are you?
There should be some time to reflect. Even time to say, hey, I can't answer that today. Let me go home and ponder this, because I can see you're asking me something I haven't spent much time to dive into and think about. And if you're honest with yourself, and I'm starting to be more and more honest with myself, I don't have a fucking clue anymore.
I mean, because you're a mishmash of your environment, right? We all are. We're a product of our environment.
Right. So here's the old Patterson Gimli film that still has not been debunked. And the professionals went in over this. They even hired guys in costumes. They still couldn't get it right. There's a lot of scientists of notoriety who happens to believe this is real. And it's hard for people to wrap their heads around it because they don't want to see the truth. It can't be debunked because it's real footage. Roll a tape, Daryl.
It's a better costume than anything I think we could create today. And a lot of experts have said, like these guys were out there on horseback, I believe, in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And with what they had, at their disposal, like, I don't know, that would be a tough thing to fake back then.
Extremely tough. I mean, they literally tried their best to mimic this. And when they did the measurements, like they broke this film down with the measurement from the shoulder down to the actual fingertip, and how everything moved and how everything was in one. And it occurred to this scientist, I am looking at exactly, this is his words, I am looking at exactly what I am looking at. And this guy is from Stanford. He built his whole career on trying to break film down and to debunk things that most people would look around. And he was totally convinced. Totally convinced.
Yeah, send that video over, Tones. Is it a legit video or is it just a spoofed video, just so we know?
Yeah, send the video to Marilyn if you can, Tone.
And can I jump in on a few things?
Go ahead.
I'm wondering what you guys think about Bigfoot. And the conjecture, is, let's suppose that this is real. Okay, even if you're a skeptic, suppose that there is a creature like this, right? If they do exist, they would probably be like us, like humans, right? There would be good and bad. You can't just say, oh, they're all good and they're all bad. No, it would most likely be just like us, where they're learning. And there would be some individuals that would be evil and want to, murder, smash, eat. Maybe they want to eat us. I don't know. And there'd be others that would be very, much cooler. And from my research, like there's even stories of UFOs appearing at the same time as Sasquatch. I don't know. But you also hear stories of orbs,
right,
that go through the forest. at the same time as someone sees a Bigfoot or within the same day or something. So I don't know if that is maybe them turning into a ball of light. Like there's two schools of thought on that, right? And I don't know where I stand, I'll be honest. But there's one half of people that think, oh, Bigfoot is simply flesh and blood and that's it. It is the missing link. It is kind of a cross between ape and man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they might have super heightened senses, and they have, they can scream real loud, and apparently kind of like lions, they have infrasound where they could literally knock you out with their sound
Mm-hmm.
because they're that big and it's that deep of a throaty sound that roar, they just knock you on your ass. But the other school of thought, quantum, that they have some sort of fifth dimensional entity thing where they can literally just disappear. Like there's tons of stories of you see these big footsteps going in the woods and then nothing. Or it goes, turns into an orb. Or what the fuck does a UFO have to do with it? I don't know. I'm just throwing it all out there. But I think it gamut of like, there's some kind of like us. We got people that are very, very, maybe it's their first time as a human. They're still learning. And then you got some that are very wise, like you guys. I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but I'm saying like Jesus Christ or some of these enlightened individuals. So like there's this wide range within Bigfoot, within, if it is an enlightened entity like us, or, I guess I'm saying, more than an animal, if they have an intellect, then the spectrum would be pretty broad. And you'd have some, maybe they're hilljacks, right? And they don't know, and they just, eat fish and live off the land. But you got a whole nother group that Chewbacca, right? Like where did George Lucas get the idea of Chewbacca from?
Right,
there's a spacefaring Bigfoot. Like that's what I think of, right? You see Chewbacca,
you think Bigfoot.
And there's so many other things that Lucas, I think he was onto some stuff. I don't know if he was taught this or told this, or maybe he was getting downloads, but like, if you look at Star Wars, there's so much in there that like, I don't know, points to a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. But yeah,
Right.
maybe there's a spacefaring, higher level Chewbacca, whereas we got people living in trailers and they're factories, and other people are philosophers,
Yeah. And there are reports of, listen to me. I follow it because I'm interested, right? And I'm like everybody else. I'm highly skeptical, and I'm both ways. I'm half in, and I'm half out to keep me safe. But I will say that from the stories that I've heard, people say when they've had these encounters, it's like they keep asking. This one gentleman was like, "Well, people keep asking me how come no one's come across it? Why are they not being seen?" And it's put it to the point like, if I go to your backyard and I live in the woods, I can hear you a mile away. I can smell you. I know what direction you're coming from. This is my playground. If I don't want to be seen, you're not going to see me.
Right.
Right. And if they're saying it's half man, half ape, then that means it has some intelligence about it. Maybe it knows to bury its shit. Maybe it knows not to piss where it can be caught. Maybe if it's smart and highly intelligent, you may never ever catch a glimpse of it unless it wants to be known.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, though. Like, how many people are in a position financially to go out to the Yukon, where it's heavily viewed and seen, where all these stories come out? Go out to Yak Valley in Canada, in the middle of Canada. Stay out there a few weeks by yourself. Go armed if you like, however, whatever makes you comfortable, and do an investigation yourself and see what you can't come up with. And I'll tell you why people don't want to do it. One, because fear always sets in. What if these people are right? Because I guarantee you put them in the middle of the woods, fear is going to set in. Whether it may not even be the Bigfoot, it could be a bear, it could be wolves, or whatever. Fear is going to set in. But if you don't want to do the investigation and you don't want to do the research, sometimes it's not best to Monday night quarterback. Now we can have our reservations, but I also feel like if we don't do the work and we don't get out there and put in the effort to dismiss it ourselves, you're never going to be satisfied.
Right.
You're always going to have these preconceived notions.
Or curiosity just isn't your strong suit.
Right.
Anyone can write a book anyone can shoot a documentary and dress it up as, 100% factual. But at the end of the day, you really don't know what the study was, what the science was behind it, unless you were physically there. Being physically somewhere gives you the context, it gives you the truth, it gives you the understanding. Like, for an example, you have a man and a woman having a domestic dispute. I'm the child who watched these two parents have this fight for 3 days, and it progressed to putting hands on each other. I've sat there, I've watched it ignite night after night. I've witnessed it turn into hands on, the police show up, and now these two are being arrested. The police are like us, normal people.
Some.
Well, let me make my point.
Mm.
We're just getting what's presented in front of us. Plain and simple. We show up, we are just getting what is presented to us. We never got a year ago, 6 months ago, last night. We never got the totality of anything. We just got what is presented to us. Now, here's where most human beings, if not all of us, and I'm putting us all in this box, this is where we get lazy. And we say two things: I agree or I disagree. I believe it or I disbelieve it. But none of us go, let me spend my time, money, and effort and investigate it thoroughly. Let me run my own models. Let me do my own examinations. Let me figure out who person A is, person B is, and what their agenda was originally behind this. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to take the extra step,
Investigate.
you're never going to know what you want to know. And that goes for all of us. We're like the police who just showed up to a domestic violence. We are getting what is presented to us. We could be arresting the wrong person. We could be arresting the right person.
You don't know until you investigate.
You don't know until you investigate. And so I say this because Lamar says it time and time again. Have 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Because you just don't know.
There's a saying in the 5% Nation, which is an organization. And there's some pretty brilliant minds in the 5% Nation. If we're humanly possible to exist, anything is possible to exist. And you can't argue the fact.
I think Carl Sagan said it too. The universe put out something that it can experience itself. That in itself is just downright just mind-boggling.
Right?
And that's just applicable just for Earth standards.
Right. I just, when you're listening to things like this, and I know some of this stuff is hard to chew for a lot of people, but we're not asking you to be invested in it. Just open your ears and your mind to certain things that's outside the box. Meryl, let's roll this clip.
Trending this morning, a video of what looks like Bigfoot walking around southern Colorado. Take a look and see what you think. A couple shared this video on social media saying they spotted Bigfoot while riding the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge railroad train. They told Out There Colorado most people on the train didn't notice anything. Over the years, there have been more than 100 reported Bigfoot sightings in Colorado.
Ooh, that was kind of blurry.
Some of that it was kind of blurry, but that's what I'm talking about. You
Right.
know,
It looked like somebody in a ghillie suit.
why would somebody just be out there? Now, I know there's batshit crazy people out there, but why would somebody in the middle of the Colorado desert mountains be in a suit for no one to see him, no one to pay you any mind, for you to just do that?
For, I guess, what? For self-pleasure?
For self-pleasure? It's possible. Don't get me wrong.
Maybe this guy knows trains come by at a certain hour,
But
right?
but how many times will we do that?
Yeah.
How many times
Will we pick it apart?
Will we look at something and go, because in my mind, I've seen so many of these things where I went, but there was something telling me on 1% of these things that I was looking at what I was fucking looking at.
I like it, boys. And I don't have another Bigfoot story, but I've got a good story for you, paranormal story. And I'd like to encapsulate kind of everything if I can, because like my journey is similar to yours, right? Or similar to most of us, where we don't believe, or like, nah, that's not true, you know, or I don't know. The stuff seems, it could be crazy, right? You think you're crazy because of what people say, what we've been conditioned to believe is not possible. But I think as youths, it's all natural. Telepathy is natural, right? It's just, we lose it. It comes out of us. I have a memory, you guys, I have a memory of like looking down on the earth and picking my parents. Like, was that weird? Did I dream that? Was that my imagination or what? But like, and then come to find out that other people have had this where it's like the life selection process or something. And, you know, I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that there have been so many things in my life that have been beyond the norm that I'm like, all right, let's roll with it. Let's question, let's be open to this. You know, I grew up loving Jesus. I grew up Roman Catholic. And then I went away from the church because I found a lot of hypocrisy there, right? Like it didn't make sense, a lot of it. And so I went away from God, but like, I didn't go away from God. I went away from the church. Okay.
Right.
But when I went to college, I studied world religions, all the different religions. And you know what I found out after studying every single religion? They're all about the same thing. They're all about love.
Right.
And it doesn't matter.
Right.
That's the common denominator. Yeah.
Right.
But I had an experience about a year and a half ago that brought me back to Jesus as a leader, as, you know, I believe in him, and I would still, maybe some of the things the church says, you know, I don't agree with, but I agree with, you know, Jesus's teachings, his real teachings, right? Because if you look at history, if you start digging, if you don't just buy the company line, you know, if you just go to church and pray and go along with everything, that's an easy life, but it's a boring fucking life for me. I don't want that life. You know, I started digging, and, you know, the Council of Nicaea, I think in, what was it, 400 AD, 350 AD, something like that. They codified things. Like they went back through the Bible and they took Jesus's teachings and they twisted them. Like Jesus taught about reincarnation, dudes. And they took that out. They stripped it out. Like that, it all changed. If you look at it, it changed. And, you know, it makes sense. Like they want to tell a story, they being, you know, the church, the religion, like we want to control these people, because if we have millions of people that all realize they are an entity, a being of pure light and can do anything that they dream, well, we can't control that. Fuck. So we have to, you know, we can't have a bunch of Jesuses running around, you know. Right. At least this is what I believe, you know. And if you look at the movie The Matrix, that's huge. You know, it's a metaphor, but it's real too. Like, I don't believe we're sitting in a vat, you know, like we're bodies sitting there. But so much of that rings true to me. The way you guys have talked about the computer paradigms, like I believe that computers are a way for us to learn this, right? It's kind of like baby steps, right? We can't just jump in. It would be too startling for all of us. So computers are a really fun and easy way for us to understand these things, right? Like we're text messaging each other. What's a text message? It's a thought. We're sending thoughts to each other via text. Well, someday maybe we're going to be able to fucking, hey, Lamar, let's go get a beer. You know, I just think it. And then you're like, okay, we'll meet up. You know, maybe that's what Sasquatch does. I don't know. I'm just supposing. But, you know, Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of frequency and vibration.
Right.
And I've had many paranormal experiences that I could get into. We probably don't have the time for all of them here today, but if you don't rely as much on your eyes and ears, you know, you talk about the third eye, you know, most of my life, I was like, what is that? I want to know how to open my third eye. Well, I don't know if I can get in. I kind of have to think about it and be able to tell that story, but I feel like I accessed that one day, and it was awesome, man. It was awesome. And you know, there's more than the five senses. There's more than this. We know this and I guarantee when you fucking die, you're going to realize, oh, I'm not dead, you know?
Yeah.
And so I got one more story for you guys, if you will allow me.
Yeah, let's go.
Ahead.
Let's go.
Let's
One
get
more
it.
story.
Right.
Let's get it.
I want to take a drink and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So
I love
I
this
grew up.
shit.
I grew up in Buffalo, New York, a suburb called Hamburg, New York, and it was a beautiful suburb, kind of like the Stranger Things, you know, beautiful little neighborhood. And we were, you know, a whole bunch of kids my age, and we were all playing, you know, we played King of the Hill, and forgive me, I say Smear the Queer. We don't call it that anymore, but that was what we called it back then. All these games, you know, and, you know, you see the pile of bikes there, and we're at my friend TJ's house I forget the address, but it was on Shiva Lane. Interesting name, but
Shiva, yeah,
Shiva Lane. And so we're playing, we're having a good time. It was like early evening, maybe like 5 o'clock, something like that. I was probably about 10 years old, so that would put us at 1984. And we're playing, and then all of a sudden, a shadow comes over us, and we look up, and we see a huge craft. Huge. This is like 100 yards long, at least, maybe 50 yards wide, silent, moving very slowly. And we look up and we're like, and my friend TJ says, it's the Star Wars people. And I swear to you, I could remember like portholes, and it almost looked like from Star Wars, a Star Destroyer, like that size, that scope, like fucking huge. And we're like excited. We're happy. Like, we're not scared at all, because we love Star Wars. It was like my favorite thing, TJ's favorite thing. So yeah, we're like, it's the Star Wars people. Get on. We instinctively got on our bikes and we hopped on, and there is this, we called it the Big Hill. So we go down the Big Hill to get up speed, because we want to keep up with it. We're like looking up, and we're like, yeah, woo, like we're excited, man. And so we're still in the shadow of this craft, and eventually it goes beyond us. We can't keep up, and it's gone. And we're excited. So we pedal back. We go back to our respective houses, because I'm excited to go tell my dad. It's like, I bust into the house, and Dad, we saw this huge ship. It's from Star Wars. It was so awesome. It was, you know, really cool. And he's like, you know, my dad, blue collar, you know, he worked at the Bethlehem Steel Plant in Lackawanna, New York. You're like I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you talk to him about opening up your third eye, he'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, like,
yeah.
So I told him about this, and he's like, what? All right, I'm going to call City Hall. So he picks up the phone to call City Hall, dials a number. What do you get? What does he get? I hear a fast busy. Apparently, a lot of other people were calling City Hall at the same exact time too. So he called again, busy, called again, busy. He finally managed to get through. I don't know if it was 20 minutes later. My memory is fuzzy, but he got through. He, you know, told him what I said. He said, yeah, they said it was a low-flying aircraft. I'm like, what? It wasn't a fucking plane. I'm not stupid. You know, I didn't say this, but I know what I saw. And now dig this, you guys. I think it was the next day, maybe 2 days, but a government official came to the door, and they asked for me. And I don't know why, you know, my dad or mom wasn't there. They made me go talk to him by myself. I went to the front door, came out to the porch. There's a man wearing a black suit, and he told me it was a plane. It was a low-flying plane. And you know what? I didn't remember this story for about 20, 25 years, and something jogged it in my memory. I'm like, oh yeah. And this was after I had seen Men in Black. I was like, did he fucking flashy thing me? Did he hypnotize me? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Right.
But it came back to me, and I swear to God, this is true. And I haven't verified this with TJ. It's something I should do. To be like, do you remember this, dude? Because we kind of lost touch, and we did get back. You know, I have him on Facebook now.
Mhm.
I did message it to him one time, and he didn't reply. But
What
yeah,
What year was this?
what year and what city were you in?
Like, can we
This
we
was-
see if there was an article?
I would say probably between 83 and 85 in Hamburg, New York.
Okay. Who wants to get busy on that?
Yeah,
Chrome,
who wants to get busy on that?
Can you?
And it was flying to the northwest,
Just look for any
northwest.
Any reports and what was the town?
Hamburg, Hamburg, like Hamburg, Germany.
Hamburg, New York, UFO incident in the mid 80s.
That sounds fantastical, bro.
Right?
Like, to see something that large in the sky and you don't hear it. I mean,
Yeah.
something that large penetrating Earth's atmosphere, you would think would be burning up as it came into the atmosphere.
And dig this. I think, you know, I remember seeing portholes. I could swear I somewhat remember seeing faces in the portholes, like humanoids at least. Like, you know, it was maybe I don't know how high up it was, but enough where I could see these portholes.
Is there a U.S. Air Force base near there?
Not that I know of. No, not like here. We're right near Wright Pat, but no, there's nothing up that way. At least right in Western New York. I know that Fort Drum is close, but I don't think they have Air Force stuff.
Now I want to go on archives and just look at some of the reports, because you could do that with air traffic controllers all over or control centers all over the U.S. You can actually look at, because these reports are for the public as well. It's part of the Freedom of Information Act, and man,
That's amazing.
I think I was meant to see that.
Hell, I'm glad.
I don't
you
know
saw
if they were
it.
trying to wake us up, or it
Mhm.
planted a seed back then as like, hey, there's something weird here. But
I mean,
yeah.
maybe it's for certain people only to see. I know my brother and I have seen some shit.
Yeah, I still have recordings of some shit.
And the wife has, I think, a video and or a picture of what her and her daughter seen when we were in Wyoming. It was a long cylindrical shaped black thing flying in the sky, super slow enough for
Tic
them
Tacs,
to. She said it was longer, like a cigar, and it was flying
cigar shaped one.
super slow. She freaked out in the beginning, but she came to her senses and was able to get a picture. It's on her old phone. We're going to get that on the show and show people. I think
That's an interesting one. The cigar shaped ones. I've heard a lot about those. And, if you go back into World War II, okay, even if you suppose this is government, the stuff that we have is probably pretty fucking crazy, right? The
Right.
stealth bomber. But the Nazis were working on the Nazi Bell back then. And then there was the reports of the Foo Fighters, whether that was Nazi or us or some third party, I have no idea. But point is, you never know what we could have, what aliens have.
Right.
Aliens. I don't want to say aliens because that may skew things, but
Right.
everyone has heard, most people have heard of the crash at Roswell, right?
Mhm.
And then the supposition is that ever since then, our technology has skyrocketed. So did we take technology from them and we're building stuff?
And the Rendlesham Forest in the UK, right? There was something mad that happened there as well, where there were U.S. forces in the UK at a Rendlesham Air Force Base, and a craft landed right in front of these military personnel. One guy even got a chance to touch it and read weird scripture on the disc. And believe it or not, the fucking Nazis, man, they were into a lot of esoteric
yes, they were.
things.
Mhm.
They were into UFOs. They were all about building bells and into zero gravity and like
It makes you wonder if the Fourth Reich or was it the Third Reich, whatever, if the Nazis really were destroyed.
Right.
Because we took their half of their engineers, right? Werner von Braun, and he, led to the space race. And what else have we created since then? And what the mind boggles. But
well, they say like Northrop Grumman and then Lockheed Martin, they have things like, and I don't put it past our military or our military industrial complex to have some sort of maybe reversed engineered craft, right?
Yeah.
That we don't know what it looks like, and that would boggle our fucking minds.
Half God, half beast says Operation Paperclip.
Oh yes,
that's the one.
See, that's the thing, right? You have all these legacy programs that the government, the CIA, is aware about, right? They have all these redacted documents that you can see are full. They're blacked. The whole page is redacted, 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 redacted. It may have the title, but it's all blackened. If there's nothing there, why are we redacting so heavy if you're not trying to cover anything up? It's the whole, it could be smoke and mirrors.
What's the paperclip for, Bicky? Because it was smack on for Operation Paperclip.
And Operation Blue Book and Blue Beam. There's so many legacy programs for there not to be nothing, right? It's so many accounts now, even by the military, which started in 2017. It's just been ramping up. Now they've been having Congress and hearings.
And it's normalized in every news.
If you're going to condition the masses, I would think this is how you do it.
Right.
You slow drip it, you slow trickle it, so people can easily digest it slowly.
You ever wonder why
before you sprinkle it on them?
Yeah. You ever wonder why the media is not laughing at this anymore? They used to just blatantly laugh at this. Now they're covering it every chance they can get,
like it's normal.
I mean,
normalizing it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's psyops. I don't know if they want to use something like that as a fear-based thing, since so many people are invested in it. Maybe they can use it as another means of hoaxing another war or something. I don't know. But it's weird to me that this is now normal in the mainstream media. And they're all serious about it. No one's really laughing anymore.
I know somebody who may be affiliated with some legacy programs, and we'll talk later outside the show if they want to come on in. And tell their side. But listen, just because society is kept out of the loop, right? Our infinite black budget that we know goes to these allocated places to do the research on God knows what, right? We know that exists. We know that there's money that's not accounted for in the trillions that goes to the military or the private sector. Now, what they spend and allocate those funds to, your imagination probably can't even comprehend.
Right.
But to sit here and say UFOs is 100% dismissive, I think you be
trillions, gents. Yeah,
you be putting the gun to your head right then and there.
Right. Yeah. Chrome, could you put up the YouTube channel that I keep forgetting to check out? Chrome has constantly reminded me of this channel. They're based on people who study these orbs and these plasmoid type things that are a phenomenon that are being witnessed. And this channel covers it. I forget the name of the channel, Chrome. If you could put that link up for that would be amazing. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I believe there's a reason why the media is now on board with these UFO witnesses, and why the government now is releasing documents on this, and there's whistleblowers. I don't know what it's going to lead to, but I don't think any good is going to come from it.
Shit, release the Epstein files, release the Diddy files.
The Diddy files will probably link up to the Epstein files.
They go hand in hand.
Like, why was that thrown under the rug? See, it's so many things when you don't tell people the truth about things.
Conspiracies birth.
You get this right here. You get a lot of people pondering and wondering why we've been left out of the loop.
We just want to know the truth. That's all I ever wanted. And maybe, you know, you can't handle the truth, right? But no, I want to handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So these people are called Lala and Dr. Bob, Orbis Paranormal. Now I'm going to check this out tonight because, you know, if anything comes from Monkey Brains and he's telling me to watch this, then damn it, I'm going to have to watch it because he's one of, like, I wouldn't say Chrome is super skeptical. I do believe he's got a foot in. He has a huge portion of that foot out. And I just think Chrome is very analytical, and you really have to prove something for him to chew it over, which is smart,
Right.
which is like, you know, that's healthy. That's one of the things that keeps us from going too deep into the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say our commenters are my parachute or my lifeline.
You go too deep.
Rabbit
will pull your ass
They'll
out
pull
of
you
it.
out, you know? So
It's a tricky line to walk, you guys, and I appreciate you guys because I feel like we're on a similar level, a similar trajectory in life where, you know, same ages and, you know, there's this normalcy, but there's all this other stuff too, right? Like, and you guys are lucky you have each other as twins, as brothers, but like, I don't know where I'm going with that other than it's a journey and we're all on our own journey, but we got each other and we're going through this, but, you know, question every fucking thing.
And why not?
But also laugh at it, right?
Yeah,
you know, like enjoy and laugh and don't get, that's the thing, man. Some people, you've seen them, like these conspiracy theorists, which we're talking about all this shit, but I don't consider ourselves conspiracy theorists, but there's some people like everything's horrible. Oh, the government's doing this. Or there's FEMA death camps in Indiana. They're going to fucking lock us up. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to, like, you could, if you start to do that, like you could really put yourself in a bad situation. So you got to stay grounded. You got to stay one with God. You got to, you know, you get to just realize, hey, let's laugh at this, right? Because it's interesting. It doesn't matter, but like these things are coming to the fore more and more, right? The world is changing. We can't stay the way we were. So we're evolving, and there's a lot there. Like we could talk and you know, there's more stories. Maybe you'll have me on again, but I feel the need to maybe hop off here soon, get myself a little bite to eat.
Yeah, same here. Yep.
And I don't have much else to give, but I would say, you know, I was researching a lot. There's this one YouTube channel called Spirit Science. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. Very good. I highly recommend it for learning this kind of stuff. But, you know, one of the things I was looking at was about Jesus's real teachings, right? Like, and he spoke that like the kingdom of heaven is right here within us. You know, like that was my distancing from the Roman Catholic Church, was that they said, oh, you need to go to a priest to absolve your sin. Right. You know, it's all in the church. And my view now, dude, I think Jesus was teaching that it's right here. It's in our hearts. It's you know, how does a little baby come into this world with sin? Like, I don't want to challenge anyone's beliefs, you know, but I also feel that that is our journey. It's a personal inner journey. And I don't believe that Jesus' second coming, that it's a literal thing, like he's going to come back, but I believe that it's a consciousness that is coming back within you and you and you and you and me and each one of us, that we get to go on that journey and love. And it does challenge our beliefs. It challenges what we were conditioned to, right? It's different than that, but like, I would say trust and love, and you can't go wrong with that shit, you know, just trust and love and ask questions and enjoy. And I would say the word enjoy, you know, like our language, the Tower of Babel, right? Our language has been tainted. And like you said, our language was installed, but there's like one inner thing about language. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you know, it's all right there for the taking, but like enjoy, it's right there. Be in joy, brothers. Be in joy, sisters, you know, you can't go wrong if you're in joy. And I'm really thankful to be talking to you guys, and maybe we'll meet up in person sometime soon. Maybe play some guitar or something. But
Well, shit, we'll have you on the
yeah,
show, John. Like,
Yeah, we'll have you come
I'd
bring
in.
your
love to.
guitars and let's figure out something and get you on the show and get you here
Okay.
personally.
Can
Yeah.
I pimp? I as I understand it in podcast, you pimp your stuff at the end.
Yeah. Pimp your shit, man.
Yeah, go
That's-
ahead and plug
So,
yourself.
If you need a phone repair and you're within 50 miles of Wapakoneta, Ohio, if you know where that is, we fix tablets, phones, computers. We fix broken hearts and souls. We do. I feel like it's more than, my business is successful because we help people with technology. We help people walk into the new world of technology. We answer questions, right? Secondly, I go by Johnny Guitar and I play music. I wear a kilt and ride a one wheel while playing guitar. So I'm available for that. And I just try to lift people's spirits, and I want to make every knowing that I did all I could every day, because we don't know how many we've got. So I'm thankful for this. And I just appreciate the shit out of you guys. You're awesome, man.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look,
yeah.
John.
Hell yeah. A big hell yeah to everyone.
Big
Fucking
hell
rock,
yeah.
rock life out. That's what I
Big
say.
ass
Rock
rock
life out.
life.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I love you as a person. I love you that you have your own ideas. You have your own agenda set for yourself. You have a very intriguing mind. We love intriguing. We love interesting. We love stories. We love people's firsthand accounts. You know, it's what we do. It's what we wanted for this channel, is to hear people out, try to understand where people are coming from, and immerse ourselves in their lives. And everyone who's come on here, they've done exactly that. Everyone who's in the community right now, they've done exactly that. Everyone has their own ideas. Everyone has their own beliefs. But at the end of the day, we all prove something together. We're still here as a community. So that means we put our fucking egos aside, and we're still willing to be friends with each other, love each other, and share the same space with one another. To me, that is the absolute most beautiful thing we can do from all of this.
And even if you don't want to scratch it out with the word love itself, everyone still is here to find some sort of peaceful interaction and have a peaceful, positive time. And that's all anybody can ask for. Thank you, John. We'll have you back on to the podcast really, 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 really soon, because we want to get deeper into that conversation. Thank you for chat. Click and subscribe, like the channel. You can catch us on the Patreon. You can catch us on the Instagrams. Peace out, you mofos. And love, bye.